So, I don't normally respond that much to current events here. After all, I'm mostly preoccupied with ancient myths and medieval literature and things that happened in the so-called Dark Ages. However, I live in the present and I do my best to live in the world in which I find myself. That world has taken a really unfortunate turn recently, one that's elevating authoritarians and weird oligarchs. That's unfortunate and disappointing. I'd very much like to be somewhere where this isn't happening, but right now, I'm not. I'm here. I don't like our current situation. I can't deny that it's depressing, but I'm not going to just roll over and die. I'm not going to spend the next 4 years zoning out on fantasy or hiding under the blankets. I've seen some really alarmist things written in social media spaces where pagans gather. People basically saying, oh, hide who you are because they'll come for the pagans. Please, please don't let things like that scare you, and don't repeat them and frighten everyone else. The current levels of existential and social anxiety, they're tools for controlling people. This is not the time to give in to your fears. It's the time to learn to overcome them. Here are 3 survival strategies for pagans and everybody else in uncertain times. First, build community, any and all kinds of community where you are. Take the time to speak to your neighbors when you see them, even if it might surprise them. Talk to people. Go to live events instead of staying home streaming things if you can. Join clubs. Hang out with your friends. Accept invitations. You'll not find community by scrolling your phone when you're in public places. Put it away and speak to the people around you. You won't find community by staying home alone or always staying home with your family. There's safety in community. Distrust of the other is how we end up allowing politicians and corporate powers to divide and conquer us. Not knowing anybody offline means we don't know where to start when we need real-world help. Not having a sense of camaraderie with our colleagues and our neighbors, even the weird ones, is why it's hard for us to organize anything like a resistance. If you're a pagan, also try to find or build an active and supportive pagan community locally, and be willing to accept that if you wait to find the perfect group who believe exactly what you do, you might be cutting yourself off from what could still be good people to know. Online communities are good too. I think the world of the students and the patrons I've gotten to know, and I'd like to build more depth and breadth in that community. The less anonymous such communities are, the more you'll gain. There's a reason why I run lots of events on Zoom. There's a reason why I use my real name everywhere I go. Engaging authentically online can help you with the skill of showing your face, of having conversations, which maybe helps a little bit with keeping the social anxiety at bay. But I'd be lying if I said that it's just as good as building a community offline. Second, keep calm and carry on. When Hitler was bombing the bejesus out of Britain and food was being rationed and 100 other things were falling apart, one of the greatest forms of resistance was just to get on with things, to find a way to have a good time with what was available, to be generous even though you didn't have much. And while people's lives were turned upside down, they still took satisfaction in pursuing their interests and in doing things they felt were important. One way to offer 2 fingers to powers and frightful entities is to enjoy your life. Make what progress you can in your life in spite of them. Thriving is a form of resistance. Don't stop being yourself. In other words, as people have been saying, don't comply in advance. Don't think, oh gee, maybe they'll come for the pagans. I'd better erase all trace of my pagan life. Try to find a little more courage. Every one of us who hides actually makes it tougher for the rest of the pagan community. So hell no, normalize being pagan. One way you can do that is by being an asset to your community, your family, your neighborhood, whatever, while being pagan. You don't need to be in people's faces with it, but you don't need to hide it either. Now, I know that not everyone can do that to an equal extent, so trust your own judgment and local knowledge to keep you safe. Just don't overreact to the anxiety of others, and don't help to spread fear. Third, we all need spiritual comfort in the storm. I challenge you to set aside at least half the time you normally spend on news and social media, and use it to engage with your gods and your spiritual life instead. Not as an escape, but to become calmer and more clear-headed. Maybe for you that means prayer or spell work, meditation, walking in nature, or something else. Do it. Don't neglect it. Off you go then.